So our lighting board here in Blankenship Recital booth, this is a ColorSource. I highly recommend getting online, going to YouTube and looking up ColorSource tutorial or something like that. There's a great video on there where this girl gives the best overview of this board. And the board that she's using, I think, is this one's the 40 channel board. Hers is like the 20 channel board or something, but everything she says applies here. Now the only thing that doesn't apply is it's specific to our hall, how we have our lights set up. So right now when you come in, if it's not turned on, you just power it on right here, okay? And then it comes up and our screen will say start. So maybe I should bring the camera over here and get a top side view of what we're looking at. Okay, if that hasn't made you sick, I'm trying. So here's our ColorSource. This is that powers it up, and then hit that for start, or you can come in there. Alright, so what this is a map that is not where our lights are hanging up in the sky, but where they hit on the floor, approximately. So if I want this light to come up, I can touch it, it's highlighted, and then I can literally come here and virtually bring up that one light and bring it back down. I could pick a whole bunch of lights and virtually use my virtual controller fader and bring them all up and down. So that's one way to go about doing it. Kind of a backwards way. Now what you're not seeing here is, let me turn my angle just a little bit so you can see the whole shebang. Now whenever I touch one, so you see these down here are all lit up with it. If I bring up this fader, you'll see number 8 is coming up and down. But I'm still selected, so I can still override the physical fader with it. And that's if I'm on this, what's called the channel setting here. I'm going to deselect all of this. We normally don't do that. You might find a reason to from time to time, but usually for most of our recitals we go with what's called the playback. Now if you notice, when I went from channel, these are all kind of a bluish hue, bluish green. I do this and now they've gone to purple and green. Purple means something has been assigned to it. Green means it's still an open bank. We have assigned different settings, so I can hit one. Actually, I don't hit it. I mean, I could do that, but it doesn't do anything. When I bring this up, fader 1, you'll see down here, fader 1 has been assigned to channels 1, 2, 3, 4, 26, 13, all these channels in blue, and these channels in kind of an off-white. So with this one fader, when I'm in playback mode, this one fader will bring up that bank of lights to those values. 2 is almost the opposite of what 1 had. 1, if I bring up 1 again, it's these outer edges and some white on the next to the inner circle, and then bring up number 2, and it's mainly the inner part and some blue. If I bring up 1 and 2, it does the accumulation of the two of those. 3 is what we normally use. That's the full, all of our lights wide open, white. Just a simple catch-all. If you don't know what recital is going to entail that night, you just put it on playback, bring up number 3, good to go. Now, If you're feeling adventurous, we have assigned 15. In this case, it's set to blue, all of them. 16 is lighter shade of blue, then green, then yellow. 19 is orange. And what do you think this one is? Yeah. Oh, somebody put a couple of blues over there. Now, if you know anything about color and lighting, if this is red, and what was 17 green, if we bring up red and green, well, they make red and green make yellow in the lighting world. So I can bring up 18, or I can bring up 17 and 20 and make yellow. Also, if we bring them all up together, the blue, green, and red, in light, that means white. So we can create a white light by actually pulling up all the blue, all the green, and all the red. It's silly to do that, but generally, number 3 is the preset you want to use. Now, notice this. I pushed 3 up all the way. It could still go a little bit brighter because the actual playback, this is like a master volume. So I've got my mix down here, but my overall master volume might be down low. And that's literally what it is. So I've got whatever my mix is. If I got it on number 20, I can fade down to black, swap over to, what was that, yellow or orange. When I come back up, now we're in orange. I can go to black, bring it back up to yellow. You just have to memorize what's what. I could also crossfade as quickly or as slowly as I want to, just by simply pulling up one and bringing down the other. So again, remember, this is not channel setting. If I channel setting, I'm just going to adjust each channel. Playback setting is going to adjust a whole bank of things that have been pre-assigned to that fader. And they only work if playback is up. So I've got 3, all white. If either one of those are down, we don't get anything. So experiment with it and look out at the stage. Sometimes you don't need a full white when we're videoing. Sometimes those bright lights really blast it out some, so we actually bring it down, something like that, for a better look. And going back to the video, one thing I didn't comment on earlier, I want to take this opportunity now. So this is the top side of our video camera. Right here on the camera, if you'll notice by our zoom switch, there's auto, M for manual, and cinema. If you put it on auto mode, it will adjust the lighting to match, if it gets bright outside, out there in the hall, it dims it, and if it gets dim, it brightens it up. Just like with audio, a lot of times we don't want that. So we put it on manual, and now it's not going to change its exposure to anything. And whenever I bring up, I'm going to turn off the hall lights so you can see now, and I'm going to turn off this light here. Now the camera that we're looking through right now, the camera that I'm filming with, is set to auto, so you saw that it got brighter when I turned off all this light. That's what we don't want in our recital videos. So if I were to zoom in on our viewfinder, I'm going to turn that to where it's not glaring, and I'm going to bring up the lights in the hall. I'm going to bring them down halfway, so you get a feel for how it's going to expose on there. I'll usually leave this camera on manual so that it's not constantly adjusting. If I put it on, over here, if I put this on auto, bring down my hall lights, well, for one, you really see the reflection, but as I bring up the hall lights, you can't tell that I'm going up and down that much right now. It keeps trying to adjust to it. So leave the camera on manual. manual audio, manual video will get better results. And I've found that running our playback at like 70%, 70% of the value over here on the playback fader is usually best results. We don't get too bright. So now we're going to talk about streaming.